Thank you. Thank you. I've listened to the incredible sessions in the afternoon and incredible science, incredible knowledge in this room. For you who joined us now, you're in for a treat. But I want to be controversial and say that science is not everything. And I know that the gods of AI will come down and smite me in a second. But I want to say that data isn't everything. Because we know, and when we talk about climate crisis, we all know that we are in severe crisis mode. And yet, we continue to feast and buy and buy and buy and buy and feed this capitalistic machine that's driving us off the cliff. So what we know doesn't necessarily translate into how we behave, right? A lot of how we behave is not rational. Some of you were lucky enough to fall in love. Hopefully all of you fell in love. You know it's not rational, right? And that's the main claim from me. I think that part of how we talk about climate is wrong. We need to talk about climate through emotional connections. We need to talk about climate through nature. We need to talk about climate through beauty. Because when we fall in love with this complex world that we live in, we will fight for it. We will change our ways. With that in mind, I created a very big project called the HERDS. It's a mass migration of animals. We started in the Congo Basin, and we marched all the way to the Arctic Circle to Nordkap, which is the end of Europe. We created a project that travels 20,000 kilometers, but most importantly, it joins communities from 11 countries, from 25 cities, in a massive effort of storytelling. The idea was a group of animals, one day in the Congo forest, because they feel things before us, because they're smarter than us, because they know much more than us, perk up and start running. They know that something in the system is wrong. And they run, and as they run, more and more animals join, and they start smashing into our cities. They smash into our culture, into what we think is safe. Usually our interaction with nature is us going and making lots of violence, creating violence there. I wanted to change the equation, to have us move out of the way for them. The animals were created by Okwanda Puppetry in South Africa, amazing puppeteers. If you've seen War Horse, so they are all from the pedigree of Handspring and are a continuation of that thinking. And we wanted to work with puppets because puppets are a midway. They're a half empty, half full, right? It's an invitation to play. A tiger is a tiger. A leopard is a leopard. But a puppet is something else. A puppet is an invitation for you to place yourself inside. And as we were walking, as we were interacting and creating these big public art events, we met more than 100,000 people on the streets of these cities. We've trained puppeteers in all of these cities. More than 1,000 people have trained with us to move the herds through their community. We've also built these animals out of cardboard in multiple locations because we wanted to create a responsible project and engage community and make a lot of people part of the story. As we were moving, what struck me again and again and again is that every city we were in was facing a different climate challenge, but they were all facing climate challenges. They were all on the brink. In Congo, we did the first day of rehearsals. We had an amazing group of Congolese young puppeteers that were very excited to be part of this big project. And next day, nobody showed up. And we were devastated, because of course you go, ooh, what did we do wrong? But slowly, slowly, it rained overnight. Slowly, slowly, people started showing up, but they showed up wet from the neck down. At night, the city flooded. And people still walked through the floods, swam through the water because they wanted to be part of this project. And when I asked them why Why? Why come with a nylon bag with your dry clothes and swim through the muck water? They went, because we want to be part of something that talks about change. And I think that's something that we saw again and again. At the end of the journey, we were struck by a massive heat wave in Norway. You heard of it. It was incredible because the very responsible Norwegian puppeteers were sweating, sweating beads. And the reindeer was behaving weirdly and not moving out of the way of us while we were traveling. They were lying on the tarmac trying to cool down from the heat wave. And you suddenly understand that it's happening to all of us all the time. All the time. What I understood, because of course when I was creating this project, I imagined these elegant, vivacious, gracious animals plowing through us, making us move to the sides, making our hearts beat, making us fall in love with their vivacity, with their elegance. And of course, they're only cardboard. They're not even 10% as beautiful as the real thing. But they're a way to get the real thing close. But what I saw time after time as we were walking through Europe and Africa is something else, is something I didn't expect. What I saw time after time after time in each community was grief. And grief is important. Not doomism, grief. I know a bit about grief. I'm from Palestine. Grief is important. Grief means that we need to understand what we're letting go of and what we're fighting for. And time after time, while we were walking through cities, this energy of grief, of this mass exodus of animals leaving us, running away from us, running away from our crooked ways, became very palpable. You could feel it in the streets. You could feel people becoming quiet after an event. And in the beginning, I was a bit taken aback. I wanted a celebration and ended up in a funeral. But I understood the power of that because a lot of people came to me after the events and talked about the fact that it's an opportunity to grieve what we have done to the world, but it's also an opportunity to think differently. And thinking differently is part of what we try to achieve. We did an impossible project. We took a project that started in Kinshasa and ended in Nordkap, and not often do you link these two cities or these two locations in one sentence. Definitely not for an art project. But the whole premise of this was if we can make the impossible possible, and if we can make the impossible possible because we link communities from all over the world, people from all over the world working together to make something as gentle, as precious, as ridiculous, as fragile as this art project it was while it was moving, we're creating an opportunity for people to think differently. And that's the main idea. Nowhere throughout this project did I feel a more tangible grief than that feeling when I was standing on a glacier in Norway. It was a double grief. We were getting close to the end of the journey, and I'd have to say goodbye to a lot of gorgeous puppeteers and people, but also to my beloved cardboard animals. And yes, my children mock me that I still play with puppets. But as I was standing on that glacier, on that condensed cloud, I heard it melting. I heard all of it in this loud orchestra of water melting away. Maybe it was the heat wave in Norway, but I think this is the case always with this glacier. And suddenly it struck me very deeply that I'm standing on something that will disappear and my children will never see. And as a dad, that became real grief. I want to show you that. Can we? I want to show you the video that we took there. The grief was palpable for me because I thought of my children, but I also thought of something else. I thought of the beauty and the wildness that this place has, but many places on the journey did. And that's what I really want to tell you before I leave. I want us to think differently. I want us to start thinking wildly. We are time and time again told the system is rigid, the system can't change, the system needs to be dismantled wildly with us thinking differently. We share this planet with other creatures, other human and non-human entities. That's what we share this planet with. We need to think of this planet differently. We need oak trees in parliaments. We need leopards in royal palaces. We need to rewild our imagination. That's what we need. Because if we do that, we stand a chance. Ooh, trouble. Thank you.